Hey guys, this is day 142 of Startup. In last few days, some of you have reached out to me to get feedback on the idea or to get advice on how to get started with entrepreneurship, with startup. So, first of all, guys, I'd not like to give advice. I'm myself on this path and I'm myself learning and I've yet to succeed. So, I'm really the wrong person to ask advice. Second, also, I know this channel I take up the tone where I'm giving advice, but I think it comes out because when you're trying to speak to the camera, it sometimes comes out like I'm an authority figure. I'm saying something out of that authority, and I know what I'm saying. That is also a requirement of speaking to the camera. But really, this channel I want it to be about one man's journey, my journey, and my learnings as I'm going through it, and the advice I'm giving to myself and to, yeah, at that point of time, whatever makes sense, I'm just giving it out as an advice. But really, I'd not like to see me as some kind of a mentor or authority figure in entrepreneurship yet. If I succeed, if you follow this channel, and if I succeed, then for sure I would like to help you guys out too in whatever the best way I know. But right now it's not the time. And the third is that third thing I reason why I don't like to give advice is like ideas are complex. The entrepreneurs, they understand themselves much better than any other person they're telling to. They're rooted in the environment in which the entrepreneur is living, so he's able to see how that idea fits in that environment. And when you're telling that to some other person like me, for example, I'm in Canada, and maybe you're bringing out an idea from India, I will not be able to see that same environment that you are seeing, and I will probably reject it just out of my instinct because of my own imagination deficit. So it's a hard place to be in where you want to give your honest feedback, but you know that you are most likely or quite likely wrong. So that's why also I do not like to give advice on ideas. That being said, now since we are on this topic anyways, if you are a young guy and you want to get started within a startup and do not know how to start, I would say that do not overcomplicate it. Again, I'm saying if you're a young guy and this is your first startup, then just get started, just do it. Like there's no right way of doing a startup. Don't wait for knowing all the answers, knowing all the green signals. You can read books, but you can also read books after. There's no after you get started. Like for example, there's no like only one way door in. Like once you go in, you cannot read books. You can always read books. You can always talk to people to get more feedback, more advice. So, and also in entrepreneurship, there's so much on the emotional level also. Like you're constantly bombarded with failures and negative feedbacks and negative opinions, and that screws up your head. And how to handle that while continuing on your path, I think most of the books never cover this. Like I've never seen books cover this, so that also you can only learn by doing. And in fact, I have never seen entrepreneurs also cover this thing. So but that is actually a huge part of being an entrepreneur, like these emotional dilemmas at all times, like whether you should continue on this particular idea further. Is it about really sticking to your beliefs, or is it really about being flexible and pick up new ideas? Such dilemmas are everywhere in entrepreneurship. Do you really need to go after and chase this investor further to convince him, or should you just, or are you like spending too much time on this investor and you need to move on to the next guy who might be actually much more receptive to your ideas? And should you really continue to like hammer your product on this market, or should you just do a pivot and make a different product or for a different market? So these are things, and they're not easy and clear answers. Like these are all very deeply linked with the emotional state that you are feeling at that day and that period. So that also is a huge part of entrepreneurship that you can only learn by doing, and it will affect your decisions for the future startups. So yes, so now this is getting me to the next point, like you just get started, but there's one thing that I will definitely suggest before starting out, that you be careful about this one thing, that whatever idea you pick as your first startup idea, just pick an idea which you think you can build in 1 or 2 months maximum. Just pick an idea that is easy to build in your opinion. That's the only feedback or only like starting advice that I want to give. And the reason for that is that you want to quickly see the entire journey of an idea and not spend like an entire year or 2 years or 3 years in just building. So if you can get something out in 1 month or 2 months, then you can actually see like what happens after you build, how hard or easy it is to get your product to the market and get people notice it and get people buy it. And so this whole cycle you can only see if you build fast, otherwise you will just waste so much time in just building which something do not, which nobody wants. Actually, even if you build fast, you will build something that nobody wants, but at least you experience that firsthand how it feels, and then you will be careful the next time. So yeah, so that way you can fail. Even if you fail, actually you can succeed also, who knows. So but even if you fail, you fail fast, and from that failure, that will actually tell you everything that you have to do right in your next startup. So in the first startup you'll struggle, you'll launch something, nobody will come, then you'll post on Facebook, you'll post on LinkedIn, you'll post on WhatsApp groups, you'll go to forums, you'll just do everything, then you'll maybe reach out to big people to get them to post on your behalf. Whatever you can do, you'll do, struggle, you'll read books how to market your product, how to sell your product, you'll try to follow those books, and maybe there will be like a whole 1 year 2 years of struggle, but that is when you learn. And maybe in throughout this entire journey you'll realize that the idea was bad to begin with, but then you'll also know why it was bad, and you can use all of those learnings to launch your next startup. That will be your real first startup. and and this whole information that you learn, you cannot actually take from any person, you cannot get all of that from any person. And even after you get any information from other person, you still need, like, you can only get like 1% 2% from some person, but there's this 98% that you learn by doing. So that's why just jump into it. Take care.